Our research about risk control analyzing using hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control method in the pharmacy installation warehouse. This is the research background. The pharmacy warehouse is a place to store stock of medicine and other pharmaceutical supplies needed by various health facilities. The pharmacy warehouse has adapted as storage, distribution of logistics to level 1 health facilities in Tegal City, Central Java, Indonesia. The problem of this research is pharmaceutical installations still do not have special warehouse, which can be used as quarantine warehouse. And IFK does not have facilities related to occupational health and safety. And then IFK warehouse are located in areas that have a fairly high risk of flooding. This is the supported data in the warehouse regarding to the condition of the IFK warehouse, which appears to always be full of inventory. The following graph illustrates that the most inventory usage process is 21% of the minimum total under standard storage condition in the warehouse. So if there is an excess pile of goods that is not accompanied by the use or distribution of going goods, it will create the possibility of potential danger and other risks. And this is the theoretical studies. We have the HIRARC method. Is the method that is carried out the planning, identifying hazard, determining risk, and determining various control measures. The next, the risk management practice. We have 5 risks, type of risk. The first is physical risk, chemical risk, available risk, environmental risk, and ergonomic risk. And we have 5 risk control method: hazard identification and risk management, hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control, and then hazard identification, risk assessment, and determining control, value model and effect analysis, and the last one is body analysis. And we choose the second one, hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control for this research. Okay, this research was conducted using descriptive qualitative method and HIRARC method as risk control, and the following are the steps in implementing risk control. The HIRARC flow, the first one is identification hazard, risk management, and then risk control. Okay, in the studies uses 2 data resource. The first one is primary data source and secondary data source. To choose our informant, we choose purposive method with some criteria. And then why we choose HIRARC method to risk control method? The first is because simplified process. HIRARC is simplified process, and then faster implementation, efficiency in risk management, enhanced clarity and communication, and cost effectiveness. Okay, the research result. This is the first focus on our research about the potential hazard and risk that exist in pharmacy installation warehouse. We have 8 types of activities carried out in the IFK warehouse. The 8 activities, the first is planning, and the second procurement, inspection and incoming goods, and then input data into system, storage, distribution, and then controlling and recall or reject. There are 37 activities with potential hazard with 51 possible risks. And here we can see the ergonomic risk is the biggest risk type in pharmacy installation warehouse. And this is the risk criteria divided by risk criteria for physics. There are 7 risks include in risk criteria physics, and then 4 risks for risk criteria chemical, and then this is for availability risk criteria, and this is for environment risk criteria, and this is for ergonomic risk criteria. Okay, this is the second focus in our research, how to control potential hazard and risk using HIRARC method. After identifying hazard, which is part of the HIRARC process, the next is the risk assessment process. This is based on the theory. We have 5 levels of likelihood or frequency risk. The first is rare, and then unlikely, possibility, and then likely, and almost certainly. And based on the theory also, this is the 5 level of severity: insignificant, minor, moderate, major, and extreme. And to determine the risk level, the function is L times S, likelihood times severity. This is the result of our risk level. This is the activity, and this is the risk type. And then this is the risk level, H for high, and then M for medium, and then E for extreme. Okay, the result of the risk assessment found that there were 51 potential hazard with 10% potential hazard with extreme risk, and then 24% potential hazard with low risk, and 29 for high risk, and 37% as the most potential hazard with moderate risk. The control recommendation, we have 5 control recommendation in elimination, substitution, and then engineering control, administrative control, and PPA. Okay, the first one, control recommendation in elimination. Stop the use of hazardous substance, for example, in pest and insect control in the warehouse. Instead, use pest and insect traps that do not pose harmful substance and are safe for the quality of the inventory in the warehouse. And the substitution for control recommendation, replace anti-slip footwear to avoid the risk of slipping due to slippery warehouse floor. And then changing the habit of the taking goods using stack of the box to using folding ladder that are easy to store in the warehouse. Okay, this is about engineering control. Perform temperature calibration in each area that requires cold temperature for inventory storage. The next, administrative control. Perform job rotation on ergonomically risk activities such as back and hand muscle pain due to repetitive sitting position or repetitive weightlifting activities. And the last, PPA, personal protective equipment, to minimize exposure when other control are not sufficient, such as gloves, and then goggles and face shield, and then respirator for the protection against inhalation of harmful substance, and then protective clothing to prevent contamination of skin and clothes. The conclusion, the first one, the result of the study described the potential dangers and risk in the IFK warehouse. The potential hazard and risk identified out of total 8 work activity in warehouse are described, though the total percentage of the amount of risk type, with a total 51% being the type of ergonomic risk, and the largest risk, the pharmaceutical warehouse. And then the second, risk identification and assessment are used as risk control parameter, including the form of completeness of documentation and OHS or K3 supervision in the IFK warehouse, getting percentage of 100% in appropriate values, meaning that the IFK warehouse does not have risk recording document and risk control in the workplace, which is an obstacle in implementing risk control. Okay, thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.